Okay, so let's open our world, our map, and what shall we do today? Well, we'll try to swap the models, the flat, low poly wall models with higher poly versions of them, and we'll also make those higher poly versions. So here I open the map. For some reason Oculus Mirror delays a bit. Okay, so now we see we still have those low poly meshes. The bricks are not separated here. So first thing, I had those from baking my models. I have those height maps, and you see they are problematic to say the least. So I might, in some of them, you see here I use levels, and it would be possible to somehow extract a little bit of information of height map, but it's just impossible in my case. Of course, I made a mistake in my baking cages. I would have to really work on my cages to make a proper bake. That would be probably the right way, but here we'll see a cheating way. So I'm using just a color texture here and using all sorts of things. So levels here, selecting darker areas, putting them to another layer, and basically I'm trying to make that between the bricks would be black and the bricks would be white, at least a bit, more or less. And I will use this as a fake height map to generate the surface. So now let's do that. As well, I want to kind of extend a little bit my models so they kind of end up nicely, because you know I had a non-perfect 3D scan of this location of the tower. So I extend those. Now I select the newly generated faces and pelt them. I'll basically create UVs. You can do it in any soft you want. Here I will be using Moodbox. It's a simple tool to do what we want here, basically to extend the texture. So you see I imported my color map, I imported my normal map, and now I'm just using clone stamp, just like in Photoshop, trying to clone stamp the additional areas using the existing ones. And you see I have to do it separately in normal map and separately in the color map. You see it automatically paints on the correct areas of the UVs. Of course, the problem here is that it won't be exact, the texture of the color and the normal map. So the you know, all the cracks in the bricks won't be the same in this. They won't match in the normal map and in the color using this method. But since it's far away, hopefully it will work. So I export the maps, I import this. Here I have a problem that after I used this map as to do displacement, it kind of made all sorts of weird things. So I just selected the polygons, the vertices, and relaxed it a bit. Now export the thing, the model. Here we'll do the same for the upper dome. So I subdivided, I had a displacement map. Here in Max you don't forget in the displacement to make sure that it uses your own UVs and not creates a new UV set. That's something I had to learn. I'm not sure why it even does that. It should automatically use existing UVs. Okay, so we did that, we displaced. Now we reduced the polygons. And probably we're ready to export it. I will see that it doesn't match perfectly because I altered the lower walls, you know, by extending, changing the corners and all of that. And let's see the result. So probably we'll need to import all those new models before we can see the result. Here we open the map, and this is probably yeah, it's still a model with which one the walls and the ground is one model. Now we'll import them separately. know, that's a low poly version. So I try to import textures and I cannot, because basically for Hammer to work it, they have to be in the same location, in the same folder. So they have to be in the project folder. So I have to grab my textures and just copy paste them to a project folder. Okay, let's save the material, and then we can use the material. We have to go to materials, show only materials in my computer, somewhere here, yep, and drag and drop. Now let's import the walls. Okay, so this is a high poly mesh. The texture is the same, the material works the same. The first one, so red blinking just tells us that it has no material assigned. Right, now we need to create more materials, and let's have a look at the result. I'm beneath the ground somehow. Woo. Okay, so now what I find is that there is a problem with either normal maps, either how's it called, soft edges in Maya, or smoothing groups in 3D Max. So you see all the edges are sharp of each all the edges are sharp of the model, and they should be smooth or regulated by normal map. So sharp corners everywhere. So the problem with normal maps are the problem with smoothing, polygon smoothing groups for 3D Max terminology, and soft edges Maya's terminology. Don't remember the names of the others. Okay, so we have a problem, and I have no idea what caused the problem. Of course, we see discontinuity with upper dome, but that's another matter. Of course, since I altered, extended the corners of my walls, of course, I'm bound to have inconsistency. I'll just have to think of, should I fix it or should I hide it? But that's for later. Okay, so here, first thing I try is make sure that my smoothing groups are correct. I make sure my normals are correct. I just reset them just to be sure, and it shows fine in 3D Max. Export the model again, thinking that that's the problem. That I forgot somehow to do it, to make sure that everything is in one smoothing group. Let's try it again. And still it doesn't work. Still it's sharp corners. So now my thinking is, it's a new Max version, I just installed 2021. Might be there is something with the exporter. Here I'm still thinking that might be something with normal maps itself. testing it out. Again, beneath the floor. Okay, so still problematic. You see all these edges where they are not supposed to be. Some other mistakes, which I'll have to fix. Okay, so my other idea is let's try doing everything in Maya. Maybe there is something wrong with the new 3D Max exporter or something. Here I open my Maya, import the model. Go to the edge mode, select all edges, and it's called soft edges in Maya. Now they're all soft, so it always used to work for me in all our game engines and all our programs. Again, I export the OBJ. It's kind of cumbersome to change the file format in Maya for exporting Maya. And we try that. And surprise, surprise, it's all the same, no go. So, the solution, kind of, workaround that I found, it's not a solution, it's a workaround. I just went to edge mode inside Hammer itself, selected all the edges, and made soft normals. And now it seems to be working. So it's of course very weird that I never had this problem before, and now there is a problem. So now it seems that it's all fine. I think it's all fine. There is no weird edges. Oh, that bulb, there actually was a electric box in the actual model, in the original scan of the tower, and I just clone stamped Oh, here I'm looking at the other walls which haven't been changed, haven't been corrected. So they're still with edged faces, with the sharp edges. Yeah. So what I was talking about? So seems to be fine now, I hope. Oh yes, there was a electric box on the wall, and I just removed it in Photoshop just using content aware filter, so it filled in bricks, but there was actual extension in the geometry, so I will have to think what to do with that. Yeah, this one. So, or maybe it was a fire extinguisher. Probably it was fire extinguisher. Some more minor problems here, but that's it for today.